I always thought to myself that when I get rich, notice how I said when and not if, because by saying if, I'm implying that there will be a universe that I'm not rich. I thought that when I get rich, what exactly would I do with that newfounded wealth? Now, I'm young, I'm 19, my grasp of money can only be so limited, my knowledge of the real world is only to a certain extent, but I've wondered, what would you do if you acquired such wealth? Because the way that I was raised and the way that I plan on doing is after you buy your house and your car, and then you furnish your house, get a nice computer, get a new phone, whatever. In my perspective, after a certain amount of spending, there just doesn't really seem like there's anything interesting to spend money on. I just invest the rest smartly and probably consult my father for more financial advice. And that's the privilege right there. It all depends on how you're raised. But I remember asking myself, if I wasn't raised this way, would I still be able to come to the proper conclusion with money? Would I know when I acquire wealth to be smart with that wealth? Or if I wasn't raised like that, what would my perspective of money be? Because majority of financial advice that I got, I didn't actually get from my parents. It was for sure inspired by them to a degree, but majority of it I found online and can be found online. And even if I was raised in a household that was very cautious on how they spent their money, that could also mean that if I acquired wealth growing up in that household, that I'd for sure want to spend it because I never got to as much when I was younger. But then after some thinking, I realized that I wouldn't just waste all that wealth. Because for me personally, once I deck out my PC with the best possible specs it can have, I don't really need anything else. My wardrobe's gonna look pretty much the same. Maybe I could get a higher tier white shirt. Maybe I could get Gucci instead. But these types of material things that I've seen, I've just never really had much of an interest in. Does that have to do with how I was raised? Does that have to do with me personally? I don't know. I've seen people that have smart parents, but the second they get any sort of money, they just spend it all and they're stupid. But when you really think about it, even if I would have thought one way or another, regardless of my parents, the way that they raised me is what inevitably caused me to make these financially correct decisions. The way a lot of people are raised, they don't even know what's considered a financially right decision. They just see people spend all their money, so they think it's normal to spend all their money. They don't even know that they need to be educated, and from that I can see right now that there is in fact a privilege with the way that you're raised regards to that. Even if it could all be found online and I found it online, those types of people won't even know to search for it online. Now, it's not to say that if I got rich, I wouldn't splurge every so often, but my splurge compared to other people's splurges is probably a lot less. If I had millions of dollars, I'd splurge by spending a couple $1,000s. For other people, that could be they spent 100 grand on something. But for me personally, me specifically, after the house and car and everything inside of it, I don't really need anything else. The rest of it would just be invested. Some people would argue that you should spend it, you live one life, and I'd argue that a materialistic life isn't really much of a life. Also, what if the Nazis come back and steal all of my crap, then I have to have money saved, you know what I'm saying? Okay, that's the Holocaust mentality coming back. Random ass rant, I don't know what I was trying to get out of it, but hopefully you could get something out of it, and let me know in the comments below what you would do if you acquired such wealth. Anyway, subscribe.